Welcome to Oregon Voters Digest, the program that brings forward the social and political issues that are important to people living here in the Pacific Northwest. And now, your host, Bruce Broussard.
Welcome again to this segment of the Oregon Voters Digest. I'm Bruce Broussard, your host. By George, folks, we got quite a program here. As you know, we're right in the midst of election. This is it, and come the 24th of August, candidates. You'll know exactly who the candidates are going to be.
Who's in, who's out.
Who's in and who's out. And naturally, we got some major issues here in the city of Portland and Multnomah County.
Yep.
Because that's really where our focus has to be, because it's a very critical time during this particular time, and we've got to get some answers and we've got to get some solutions. Mm-hmm. And we've got two issues there with reference to the city and the county. In many cases, they're not working as closely together as folks would like for them to do. You got me? And we're talking about the budget issues on both sides of the aisles, if you will. That's a very situation. And then we got the other major issues facing the county and the city. About four different priorities. One is the kids, the youth, our homeless folks, the addicts, mental illness, public safety. So we got some very major issues, and we're looking for solutions in it for the taxpayers and for us here living in this particular community. Very important point now. Now, realistically, we're talking about folks getting together. Mm-hmm. The voters are going to have to kind of get a better feel of how they're going to react to the issues. I'm talking about the elected officials. Mm-hmm. And so it can be very confusing. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have to be a clear mind, because these folks are up for all the election. All those folks that are up for election. Very, very important that the voters know if are they the kind of folks who are going to be able to come up with some responsible issues. Mm-hmm. And once they understand that about the folks, that what's written as given to them, when we're written a visual or whatever, then they will be able to make a decision that's going to help the city and the county. And I think that's what our real needs are. So what we're going to be doing here at the Oregon Voters Digest, and John's going to be very vital to this aspect of it. He just so happened to be running for city council in district number 3, if I'm not mistaken, right, John?
Yeah.
District number 3, and actually I happen to be running for district number 2 for Multnomah County. And right up front, with the rationale is that John and I have been on this Voters Digest thing for quite some time, talking about issues and this, that, and the other. And sometimes we found the difficulty of one, not getting the folks to come to the table to basically, i.e., share with us and to the viewers, if you will, what's on their mind. You know my point? And that's a toughie. And so I'm sure that, and this is not necessarily my speaking for John, but we've talked about this a number of times. So he's decided to step up to the table, and I'm gonna step up to the table myself, and so that's where we're going to come from. And we've invited. In fact, we're still inviting all the candidates, both who are running for the city, especially the city and the county. And we're saying that to them, you're invited. All you have to do is just give us a call. Better yet, you just give me a call at 503-701-0457. 503-701-0457. And please, come on. This way you'll be able to talk to what you feel are the solutions, what's on your mind, if you will, as far as solving some of the problems that we're having here in the city and the county. Very, very important. And then you can talk about your platform and how you're going to be doing it, and then there's no cost. You don't need to worry about no ad costs or anything of that nature. So we're inviting you. You come on. So this is what we're going to do, and so give you an idea of the effectiveness of getting out to the people. We got both the county and the city. John's running for the city. I'm running for the county. And one of the things I plan to do is I plan to be before the county commissioners every time they meet, and in some cases be in the front of the city too, sharing with them, because the bottom line is that the city and the city should know what the county is doing, the county should be knowing what the city is doing, and how the city should react to the county and vice versa. And that's one of the reasons why I've got John here sitting right next to me, because he's going to be running for the city, and it's kind of shows some sense of cooperativeness aspect of it, and we're here. And one of the other areas that's available to citizens, as well as the media, is the fact that each commissions, both the city and the county, hold meetings. They hold meetings once a week. The county holds a meeting on Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 9 a.m. at county headquarters. Okay, got me? And the same thing with the city, every Thursday at 1 p.m. 1 p.m. And so, but however, they give you the opportunity to speak before each of those entities, and you have the spokesperson has 3 minutes to say his piece. And questions will not be asked from the county commissioners unless they want to. But the fact of the matter is, you can at least identify yourself for 3 minutes. And in most cases, that's not a good system, because in all due respect, it's pretty difficult to put together what's on your mind within 3 minutes. These are not professionals. They're citizens, taxpayers.
Yeah.
And so consequently, that's going to be something like that. As far as I'm concerned, I would like to see a change. Maybe they can get an ombudsman or something like that to make sure that if a person has if they got the reasons to come before the commission and make a statement, and if they got a couple of things they need to say more, someone should be there to answer that. At least take that in addition. So what we're going to do is that we're going to kind of like put something together here where give you an idea of what we're talking about here. So I'm going to be before the commission, Multnomah County Commission next Wednesday at 9, and so I've got a 3-minute speech. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to share with you what I'm going to be saying over the 3-minute piece, and then John is here, and we're going to have a little discussion about that, kind of give them an idea of what they should be doing. You got me? John is in agreement with that, and I am too. I mean, we got to make some changes to motivate citizens, because they got some very articulate folks out there, and they should be given the opportunity. But a lot of folks don't want to come out there and play that public figure thing. But you can do Zoom and all kinds of things along that line. But what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to read my 3-minute speech to you, and I plan to go to the commission meeting, Multnomah County Commission meeting. But I'm going to read it, and then after that, John and I are going to have a little discussion on it. Is that okay with you, John? Okay, good. So here's the timing right now. Okay, there we go. Okay. I'm running for office for Multnomah County. I am deeply concerned about the homeless living on the city and the county streets. Despite the $1 billion Multnomah County has paid to shelter and care for the homeless here in the last 5 years, the number for now has grown to 20,000 homeless living in our streets, with at least 8,000 of those now living on the street or in shelters and pods. Okay? Most at risk are the children and their mothers, and sometimes their fathers, living in vehicles, minibuses, recreational vehicles, pickups, and cars that can and do move from location to location. Portland Public Schools says it has at least 1,000 kids moving from school to school in vehicles. East County districts, Park Rose, Centennial, Davis, Douglas, Reynolds, and Gresham, say they have another 1,000 school-age kids in vehicles. To me, a full-on effort to locate them and get them into the 1,900 vacant units in public housing here. Second in line are the significantly mentally ill living on our streets, about 800 of them, most of whom could be on meds and cared for in residential treatment facilities. Many can live peacefully in permanent supportive housing as well. But the Unity Center, a walk-in facility in Portland with beds for 105, can't keep people for more than 6 months. And the existing residential treatment facilities, which don't charge and have staffs today that are funded by Medicaid, are full up and having waiting lists. We need more. Third in line are the addicts, those who are on fentanyl, meth, heroin, or cocaine. They make up over 70% of the homeless. You can find them at the bottle and can drops or the grocery stores on Friday and Saturday nights buying their drugs in the parking lot after selling their cans or bottles. They are a public safety menace. I believe in Alcoholics Anonymous, People can conquer their addictions. City Team and Bybee Lakes and Central City Concern and Fora are trying. But we need a great sort. We need a big project to focus on finding those who want to end their addiction and getting them into transitional housing designed for just this purpose. The product needs at least 50 case managers, and it has to involve the Portland Police, Hooper, Detox, and the expansion of the staff that helps addicts transition into independent living. The Hooper Detox Center the Hooper Detox Center could be triple in size. Case managers could be hired by a project team to focus on the sort and transition. The Blackburn Detention Center could be expanded and properly staffed. Those graduating from foster care can have case managers. Parole and probation can help to identify those who can live independently coming out of prison and jail. The county needs a new plan, a serious effort to solve the problem. Thank you. Okay? That's my speech.
That's a good statement, and you know, it's one of the things that I think that would help people is the fact that if they had a better expungement program, so people feel that they've made a mistake somewhere and they're tarnished for life, and able to. I feel that somebody relieved from custody should be able to transition to a law-abiding status, you know, because most misdemeanors you could have them cleaned up in 3 years, but I think everybody should be able to do that for felonies at 5 years, so that there's an incentive, because it is proven historically that a vast majority of people who get in trouble with the law, they only do it once, but yet they're still tarnished for life. And the deal is to give them the incentive to go straight. That would make more people go straight, because those who make the mistake and are tarnished, you figured, what's the use? I might as well just keep doing bad things, rather than having the incentive where they say, okay, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to get some schooling and something like that, and also their friends and families would be more likely to help them if they're really going to make a concerted effort. And that would be really easy on the first timers, but if you make that way for everyone, then the thing is you're not going to have as much trouble. And I've talked to some people about that, and I think that are in the justice system, and I think they're worried that if it's too successful, that they won't have any criminals to put in jail. But the deal is there's always been crime, there'll always be crime, and the deal is the objective is to have a safer life for you and me.
Well, what about the Alcoholics Anonymous? When I think about that, I thought about that. That came up from some of the folks that I was meeting with. That it's a pretty successful program. It's been around for quite some time.
Yes.
Now,
Now, I was going to Portland Community College in a management program, and we had part of our schooling is we went to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, and and some of those people, they go to meetings 6-7 times a week for something to do, so that they don't fall off the wagon, so to speak. And some of them, you know, they do that because they're really concerned about doing better, you know. And the trouble with those people and people who had trouble with the law, you know, sometimes they say is that, you know, want to get a job. Well, somebody's got to hire them, and so you have these programs, and then be able to tie them up so that they can actually get jobs, because, you know, a steady job does wonders for your ego.
And since they've been around for so long, John, I think the alcohol, they've got such a reputation. Many businesses owners, if you will, who've had, if you will, those kind of alcohol problem aspect of it, will normally reach out to some of those same folks. And so that would be another way, if you will, of resolving some of the folks that are on the streets, if you will, even though they might be not necessarily just alcohol, but just other the drugs. Because now the law is in place now for marijuana, so boom, people tend to get a little bit more higher. See, and so that could be somewhat manageable because they have to meet certain criteria. You see what I'm saying? And that would really help out that number that especially those in the addiction state,
Yeah.
the addiction state, that could really help out quite a bit aspect of it. Another area that I like to think that we need to spend a little bit more time on our youth. Those are the future leaders. These are our future employers, and the whole on and on and on. And look at the numbers that that are in the school. A lot of times people don't know that.
Yeah.
In our education system, the number of kids that are in there, and the numbers who are not just going to school, but are on the streets with their families, with their moms and dads.
Well, you know, the deal is that a high school diploma is so important, especially nowadays. It's a matter of national security, because if you want to join the active guard or reserve, you have to be a high school diploma. Now, some of the services may take you with a GED, and there needs to be an effort to get people who have messed up on high school is to get a GED. And also the thing is that historically, people who finish high school and then they go to work, generally by the time they're 30 years old, which generally is about 12 years later, they're usually making double or triple the minimum wage, you know. And Portland's minimum wage now is $16.80 an hour, which somebody said, oh, that's only so much. Well, times 2,080, why, that's about 33,000 a year. And say in 12 years they're making double that, maybe triple that. And the fact that generally speaking, unless things go drastically wrong, generally the people who finish high school and go out and go to work never know poverty, especially because later on they get training and go to college. And in my case, I graduated from high school, and then in the 30s there was an advantage to going to college, so I started going to college.
Right.
And usually when people say that have gone to high school and say they don't go to college right away, maybe they don't start college until their 20s, or mid-20s, say 25 or so, all of a sudden they have a feeling for the ground of where they want to go, because and that would help them even more, because so many people have I hear them on Dave Ramsey and Clark Howard is saying they've got debt of $500,000-$600,000. They've gone to college for 6 years and kept changing their major because they really didn't know what they wanted to do. And the thing is, 6 years of college and $600,000 of debt, and they don't even have an associate's degree out of it. So this.
But they still have a bill.
That's a big bill, yeah.
And they still have that bill. They've got to pay it.
Yeah.
That's ongoing. That's ongoing.
And that's because after they ended the Vietnam War, they ended the draft, and so then they had private financing for schools. And the deal is, Congress fixed it so you cannot go bankrupt on a student loan.
No, you can't. No,
and there's three ways out. And the deal is, possibly you could pay it off, which is tough, or you become indigent. In other words, judgment proof. In other words, you're going to be a bum, or you die. That's the three choices.
You know, another area that I'd like is because, and that's another reason that I'm running, and at the same time, when I filed to run for office, I noticed that there's several people there that are basically either thinking about the kids and whatever. There are a couple of people there that are running, they're sitting on the school board.
Yeah.
And one of which one is going to be running for chair of Multnomah County, and the other one is going to be running for one of the district seats. Just so happens to be district number 2.
Yeah.
They're on the school board too. And so I'm asking that question with all those kids that are having problems in the school system. What were there any solutions? Did they respond to that issue? But if they're coming in with a better mousetrap and running for office, welcome aboard. But still, I'd like to get an answer from them now as to what have they done to this issue of homelessness for kids while they were serving on the school board. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was on the Multnomah Education Service District Board, which was really interesting, and they had a secondary school, and I went to some of their graduations. And some time ago, I ran for a Portland School Board, and I talked to Willamette Week, and I talked to the school union, and the idea I was pressing was everybody graduated from high school. And Willamette Week and the school union did not seem to be interested in that issue. And it's a real important issue.
Did you have to deal with any homeless situation? Was that on the table at all?
That didn't come up, but
Didn't
the
come
thing was,
up.
it's everybody to finish high school.
I know,
I
but
mean, it's free.
But still, there's a homeless problem we have here.
Yeah.
And we got the parents. I mean, we got kids that are at age that should be in school.
Yeah.
That are just on out on the streets with their families, like anything else. But then we've got those that are kind of like that are going to school. That their parents are about one step away from being homeless.
Yeah, and the deal is the people that say they dropped out of high school and been out for a little bit, and I learned being on the ESD the fact that the state is obligated to teaching you from age 3 to 21. So the fact is that say, okay, so you go back and you graduate when you're 19 or 20 or maybe 21, it is still important to get that high school diploma.
Okay, so it'd be interesting. I don't necessarily have the access to that piece, but that should be a discussion. Who's responsible? Is it the state, or is it the city? I mean, is it like for instance, like Portland Public School? They have a high rate along electrical lines. You can see that figure is high. Got my point? And so there should be a major discussion on the whole issue with homelessness with kids. For the whole state, for that matter. But here in Portland, it's high. It's really, really high. You got me? And since we got two people that are going to be running for other offices at this point, one of which happens to be on the school board and the county commissioner. One is a county commissioner now.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
Is that something? Let's talk about that for a minute. Should that be? Shouldn't we? I think we should change the rules on that. You can only serve one master at one time. You can't serve two.
Well, it used to be that you could run for all of the unpaid positions, and
but
only one paid position. But now the deal is, like in the school election time, you can only sign up for one of them. But because there was Dr. Howard Cherry.
Wait. Now, but what happens now? We got a person running for county commissioner. Are you saying that she's serving on two boards?
Well, actually, if you look at it, the incumbents that are running for re-election, what have you done? You haven't done much.
No, but was she appointed? Was she appointed to the school board?
Well,
Julia Brim Edwards. That's who I'm talking about. Julia Brim Edwards.
Well, I was elected, and
No. I'm talking about presently, right now. Julia Brim Edwards sits on the Portland School Board.
That's right.
And she also sits on county commissioners.
Right.
See, okay, that's what I'm talking about right now.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, and I'm not talking about her personally. If the law says that she can do that, okay, fine. But in all due respect, I think that should be that's quite a job.
Yeah, stretching pretty thin.
That's pretty thin whatsoever. Now I realize that the school board, she wasn't getting paid to the school board, but she was getting paid by the county. That's paid at about $150,000 a year. No problem.
Yeah, but if you look at Portland School Board, the deal is they go to a lot of meetings for an unpaid job.
Right.
See, so and sometimes everybody gets in there and they figure that they're going to be the savior,
right?
And they don't cooperate with each other. And the deal is, it's kind of like having a dozen people in a phone booth shooting it out. They're not getting much.
Right. But like you said, she goes to a lot of meetings for kids. Okay.
Yeah.
But she has to go to a lot of meetings for homelessness and mental illness and a whole bunch of other stuff. The county is not an easy job.
No, and those homeless people is to get them through school, and so the fact that when they come out of high school and say they're still homeless, they still got the chance of getting a job, and if they get the right kind of schooling in school, they have a good chance for going for military service. See, and there's I've talked to people who says, I don't want my baby to be a killer. Says, well, the Army and the Marine Corps, for everybody eyeball to eyeball with the enemy, there's 8 to 11 people supporting them that develop into good civilian jobs. In military aviation, everybody in the air, there's 50 people on the ground supporting them, and they turn into good civilian jobs. Actually, civilian careers.
Well, serving the country, that's one issue aspect of it, and then getting that education today.
Yeah.
There's no requirement, if you will.
Yeah.
The options are there. It's like anything else. They're there. One can join. But I guess I'm getting back to the same point about who's going to be representing those folks. Who's going to be having that discussion? And I'm just saying that because I just happened to have noticed that you've got people that are working for the school district.
Yeah.
I mean that are elected to the school board,
Yeah.
and one of which happened to be serving also as a commissioner for the county, and then I'm saying that that's an area that we should have a discussion on, and we should discontinue that kind of a concept. Maybe consider coming up with something where school board members would also get paid. Have a discussion on it. Then maybe we can get more responsible people running.
Well, now, I
what
think in L.A., there's some place down there, or several places, they get $50 for a meeting, see? And so they meet 5 times a week for lunch. And so they're getting a free lunch plus $250 non-taxable.
But John, like you said, there's a lot of meetings, man. You $50 is not going to make it in many ways.
Well, they got regular jobs, so you.
But they got regular jobs now, and my point is they got regular jobs now, and they're serving this master, and these school board meeting members, they got a lot of meetings. They have to have a lot of meetings, and when you start thinking about the failure rates. And when you think about this homeless situation, we need to have a discussion. So I'm just hopefully that Julia may come on the show and tell us a little bit more. In fact, I'm inviting her to come on the show and tell her whether or not that's an effective pattern. And the same thing with the other entity, the other individual who's interested, who's Mr. Green. Mr. Green is running for office. I happen to know Mr. Green. In fact, I met him before he ran for school board, and sort of. He chatted with me initially, and I haven't seen him since. But he's running for the county now, and I'm willing to have him come on. Maybe you can interview him or something, or vice versa. But the fact of the matter is that he's running for the county, and I'd like to know what he brings to the table. You understand what I'm saying? And especially, I'd like to talk to him about the kids. The kids, the kids, and the mom and dad who have their kids, and their kids that should be going to school, but they're out. And what are the school district doing about reaching out to those folks and getting those kids and taking care of? That's a very, very important piece. The other thing about the county aspect of it, there are 2 other individuals that are running that are working for the county now.
Yeah.
One in the mental health aspect of it, I'm just saying we got a major problem in mental health, and I'd like to get some feedback in terms of what are they doing now. And since the person is working for the county right now and had background in the county, come up with some feedback. Maybe I don't have to run.
Well, in 2024, Portland went to the ranked choice voting. And so the mayor in District 1 and 2 got a 4-year shot, and the auditor in District 3 and 4 got a 2-year shot. And when I was running for that, I says, don't vote for any of the incumbents. Well, 2 of them made it, And so I'd say the same thing with coming up this time. Or look what they've been doing. Don't vote for any of the incumbents because their track record is they're not producing for us. We were in the military, and we had to do it right, because if it didn't, we could not be here.
Well, but there was somewhat rumors. I mean, I remember going before the county and taking advantage of that 3-minute piece aspect of it. I went to a lot of meetings. I wasn't getting paid, but there I was going to county meetings, and I saw these other commissioners sitting up there. You got 5 people there, and you got a chairman, and you got four commissioners.
Yeah.
And but the rumors had it was that the commissioners don't make any decisions.
No.
Only the county chair does. You got my point? And so that bothers me. I mean, that really bothers me. They should be a part of that process. And so So they don't have it. But I'd like to say we need to have a discussion on that piece,
Yeah.
and make it so that it's about a vote. It's about a majority vote, and we should have more discussions about what's being said. Because I can still remember having run for Wapato.
Yeah.
I ran for county commission during the Wapato. We had a facility, and that was part of the campaign. The idea was to allow Wapato. Either increase the beds and this, that, and the other. That should have been the mental health. It was designed that way.
Yeah.
It was all designed that way, and the way it was basically bargained with and given to basically sold, and the taxpayers lost a lot of money off that deal. That building was supposedly worth about $90 million and was sold for $5 million.
Yeah. Well, you can't question their judgment. It's like for having it for. Say there's pushes for having a tax levy to operate the place, and they wouldn't put it on the ballot,
That's
and
right.
it would have passed because it would have benefited the citizens,
Right.
and you just wonder what they're thinking. And now in the county, that you're running for the county now, there's the chairman, the auditor, the sheriff, and District 2 is up for grabs.
Yes.
So 1, 3, and 4 are not. They're
Right.
they're getting a bye. Now,
Right.
and one thing in Multnomah County, you've got 4 districts, and you have 1 person per district, whereas in the
city.
Portland system, you got 3 clowns,
That's a whole different ballgame. Yeah.
but so the thing is that the present chairman is not running for re-election, so there's really hope for Multnomah County, as long as you get the right one. And you have 2 incumbents running, and I don't think any of them are.
Yeah, but still, I'm concerned about the whole idea that the chair makes all the decisions.
Well, that's okay if they share, and they could have shared, but she did not.
Yeah, but just like you said, but now the other entity that's coming into the county, who's running for the county, it also sits on the school board.
Yeah.
so I'd like to kind of get a feel for where she feels and where she stands on this issue about making all the decisions.
Yeah.
She shouldn't be making all the decisions.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at the other person who's on the school board as wanting to run.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a heck of a job, boy. If he's sitting there, and we've got all the problem with the kids, he should stay there for a bit, get a little bit more, focus on that particular. That would really help the relationship between getting these kids prepared for their futures. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so to Mr. Green, I would say that come over here and let's talk about it.
Well, you look at the
Publicly.
Yeah, at the schools. Now, I went through Portland when it was a K through 8 in high school, and then they went to the middle school system. They said for more versatility in the schools and the classes. Well, that's nonsense. When I was there, the deal is went from the homeroom and went out for art and and gym and music and shop, and that was K through 8. So all of the deal was the middle school thing was hire more people in management and less people out in the classroom. So I think they should probably actually revert to the K through 8. They'd be able to transfer a lot of that money into the classroom, because if you look at the fact is that the amount of money that they spend per student has gone up, and their results have gone down. And in fact, I had a friend of mine, he was a reading teacher in Burns, but then the economics messed things up, so he became a Portland police officer. And they have been going through reading teachers, one every year, one every 2 years, and he got over there, and I've talked to people since in Portland, and they're stuck with the textbooks. Well, my buddy went over there, and he was a Navy Reserve corpsman in the Marine Corps Reserve, and I was in the Army and National Guard, and I had lots of magazines. And the usual student going to reading classes is a boy from a one-parent family. So it's, and Mama doesn't buy manly magazines,
Right.
so it had these mountains of magazines.
Right.
Truck and Driver and auto and Army and National Guard and American Rifleman and a couple others. And so I give him the magazines, went over there, and at the end of the first year, I says, how did they go? He says, well, brought the their reading level up 3 grades. I says, how do they like that? He says, well, they're ecstatic. And so the fact is, it really helped them. And I've talked to a couple of superintendents of public instruction. They weren't interested. They want to just use the textbook. And you talk to them about something, and you bring out new stuff. They are not interested because they're in the job and they're the expert, and they don't want to listen to you and I, and they don't want to listen to the parents either. In fact, when I was working, I was active in the union, and one of the guys, he moved into close to Brooklyn School,
Okay.
and they talked about parent involvement. Well, something happened at school, so they called his wife, and so she went over just a few minutes later. Well, they found out she was living almost across the street. The next year, they put their kids on a bus to North Portland. They don't want any parent involvement. They talk about it, but it's all just fat lipping.
Well, at this point, let me also share with the viewing audience, they're looking at it from the standpoint as if we're talking about the issues and talking about solutions, and not giving the other folks the opportunity to respond to it. Well, it's as if to say both of us are running for office, and normally you would wait until the media interview you, and then the media tend to either endorse you or not. Got me? But again, the public still don't get an opportunity to speak with the candidate.
Right.
It's just a pretty well fixed deal. Got my point? And they don't have, the other one that are able to do what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Just behind closed doors. Okay? But what we're doing, we're making it public. We're saying we know what our platform is, and you get to know who the person is a bit better. Get to know a little bit more about yourself, like myself and whatever. And we got some concerns, and people are very concerned about that, because a lot of times they say, well, gee whiz, I don't get the time.
Well, the press kind of drives a lot of what's going on, and you wonder what's behind that, because a few years ago the thing was education. You're running for dog catcher, and they come up, what's your education program?
Yeah, right.
What are you going to say? Well, if you get bit by a dog, it's going to hurt.
Right.
So they were talking to people are running for water district and sewer district. What's your education program? Irrelevant. And this now they're pushing the homelessness so much. What about the other issues? You look at the values of the property downtown have dropped 70%. We're in a world of hurt for a long time.
Well, and that's you make a good point, because I think this is not an issue just affecting just one individual to have a discussion. It's all of us.
Yeah.
It's impacting us all. We represent, that's what I'm saying, is this, what we're doing right now, we're representing the constituency, the community, the total community, business community, homeowners, homelessness, addicts, we're representing everybody. And so consequently, they're all at the table. We're all at the table. And it's going to take us all to solve the problem. Okay, you got me? Because anything that you might say in a negative way to those people that are maybe on the addicts, who are basically doing the drugs, or the drug dealers, or this, that, and the other, well, hey, wait a minute. But they're still there. Yeah. And it's costing us money, budget-wise, right? I mean, you start thinking about the budgets and where they're spending all this money, and we're not getting any results, and they're getting larger. The issues are getting larger, right? You got me? And the only way you can solve it sometimes is go to that entity. Well, where are those auditors? I mean, you got auditors, each one of those, but how much are they getting paid? And what are the results? And are we having discussions? We need to have a discussion with them. Let's say we're talking about this whole issue of schools. Okay, got me? And whatever, and talking about homelessness. How much are we paying? Okay, auditor. How did they respond to this? You set aside some dollars for this deal, and money's going out. What did they do? What are the results? How many kids are going back in the classroom?
Yeah.
The,
It's really tough.
see what I'm saying? The same thing with police. Is there any of the other entities for that matter? See what
Well,
I'm saying?
you know, in a lot of places they get the view that we should bring in something new blood, new ideas.
Right.
But look what's happening recently. They've had these people that they hired from outside,
Oh,
and they've dumped them off. You know, the one person, I think they got a year's salary for leaving and keeping their mouth shut.
yes.
And you know, hiring from within and having people come up through the ranks has usually worked pretty good. But you know, it's the hiring somebody from the outside has not worked, and it's proven out that. And it's, a lot of these people, when they show up, you figure that, you know, in their resume,
Yeah.
the deal is it was a great piece of fiction. And in fact, with the city, they hired a guy who had retired from the Army, and he was engineers, and he says, and they're telling me that I should get along good with him, see? Well, because I was in the Army National Guard and I was an officer. Well, I got talking to him a little bit, and he was somebody's hatchet man running around, and when his Blazing Star retired, why, they come out and chopped him out. And he was a West Point graduate, 32 years of service, only a colonel, which means he wasn't that great, because you come out of West Point, and if you're anything, you'll have 1 star in 30 years.
Right.
And his whole thing was, if the people weren't complaining, they weren't happy.
Right.
And we had operations where we were really happy, things were really operating, and he would screw it up, so we would be grumbling.
Wow.
You know, there's such a thing about workplace harmony. You know, have people who come and cause problems, they're not good for the final line, and the final line is results.
Right. Well, here's another issue, and by again, I want to make that point. The comments that I'm making, besides myself and John here, we've had some exposure. We read papers. We've been around, if you will. We've run for office before, and we may know some of those concerns. But the people that we're talking to now are beyond that point. They've got they have some ideas, and so consequently, we're sharing them. So we're not just doing a personal kind of a deal. This is for the people. It's very important. We're talking about everybody. You know, and I'm going back to a little paper here. It's a community paper, and they've done such a good job up here in North Portland. I'm talking about the North Peninsula Review, and they had this article, which I thought was interesting. You brought the point you brought up was about a person just basically resigning their seat and getting paid $70,000.
Yeah.
I mean, and I got the article right here, and we're going to talk about it, but the person made me aware of it.
Yeah.
They were sitting in the audience and say, "Hey, Bruce, what are we going to do about this person here? What is this all about?" And then basically what she said, you got, it says, and she's one of the persons that's running for district number 2, Serena Cruz. I knew Serena in the past, but I didn't know that she was there. Just right off the bat, I thought she, you know, but the fact of the matter is, she's running for district number 2 now for the county. They didn't cite the salary, but the fact of the matter is, it said she served more than 2 consecutive terms within 12 years, 12 years at the county. Okay, Cruz subsequently ran for and lost a Portland City Council race to Randy Leonard. In 1996, then Multnomah County Chair Deborah Kafori hired Cruz as Chief Operating Officer in May of 2021. She's been at the county since 2021. She continued in that job after Vega Peterson became chair. Okay, Cruz resigned from the position in September 2024, and the county paid her $70,000 as part of a resignation agreement. Now, at the time, we were discussing a whole bunch of other issues, so we didn't have enough time of someone. I said, well, hey, did anybody in the group that has an idea what's the definition of resignation? What does that mean, John?
$70,000 for resignation and a locked lip not to talk about it.
Is that Jesus Christ? Oh, John, well, now this person is running for office.
Yeah, well, some time ago, I was going to meetings with American Management Association, And one guy says, this is really a good gig, see, because, say, I want a job someplace,
Right.
see. So I tell my buddies, I says, I want this job. So they apply too.
Right.
But the deal is they want a lot more money and a lot more stuff like that.
Right.
So then I feel look like a bargain, and I get the job.
Right.
And I want more than they were offering to begin with.
Right.
And it's really a scam. You know, you have all these associations, and they have these people come in with great press releases. In fact, one time before becoming a commissioned officer, I'm in guard drill, and this lieutenant colonel started laughing, and he says, "Come here." Well, I was enlisted, and he was a lieutenant colonel. I went over there, and the district attorney here, Haas, he says, "This guy hired this guy here from Klamath Falls. Look at this resume. He was working swing shift in a gas station, and he was doing court time in the morning and doing his own clerk work in the afternoon." He says he can't get along with anybody. That's why he was doing a one-man show there. But to put food on the table, he was pumping gas, and he says, "So we'll see how long you last."
Well, you're right, and that's happening quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
and that's why I'm making the point now. We're not in a position right now today to be able to continue doing that. It was fine at one point in time, but it was tough. Got me?
Yeah.
Now I'm saying, and as a result of that, many of the people who should have been concerned, rather than just basically just going with what a media tells you about the person that's qualified, and endorsing them, that type of deal, and then just forgetting about it, then getting the person trying to figure, well, how did that person get elected? And that person's not any good, but they're still there, right? And they just continue on. So, but today we can't afford that anymore. And it's just say, look here, we're not talking about trying to get people in jail or this, that. We just need to change the system a bit,
right?
So that it can be a little bit more responsible, because buying a house is not an easy task nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the numbers in terms of interest rates now, you can't afford it. People can't afford it. A lot of these people who are needing housing that are homelessness, in all due respect, now we're really screwing up with our society, Pete, because a lot of times people work hard to buy a home.
Yeah.
Hard. And now they're saying, look, over here, if I was just homeless, it wouldn't cost me anything to wait. You got people are expecting to be given a house.
Yeah. Well, this.
That's another issue. Housing. That's a heavy piece.
This homeless issue, I read in the paper once. He says the benefits that they're getting is equivalent to a $70,000 a year job.
Wow.
That's $35 an hour.
Wow.
Now, it didn't say whether that was the payout or the total package.
Right.
So the total package is, say, the fact that, say, that $35 an hour, say $10 is for the benefits and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's $25, that's still $52,000 a year, $1,000 a week.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you get all those benefits and you don't have to get up, because, you're working someplace that they're paying you $25 an hour, on the payroll part. You got to produce. You got to know something. You got to produce.
Well, yeah, but see, again, another point. We need to put it on the table and discuss it.
Yeah.
Discuss it. We can't do that anymore. That's probably one of the reasons why we're having even more homeless folks in many ways. And at the same time, those who had the opportunity and were motivated to be blue collar, to work themselves up to total home ownership, are saying, well, why should I keep working my rear end off?
Yeah, well, it's
deal?
Just like this guy got forced out of running for the U.S. Senate in Maine. There's a article in the paper recently says, who vetted this guy?
Yeah.
Did anybody vet him?
Yeah.
Because this must have been on the radar somewhere, because, watching him talk and being around people, it didn't seem like the kind of person I'd want to be around. But anyway, so it's like a lot of these people that write this great fiction, who checks them out?
Yeah.
And the deal is, like this one guy was telling me when they go checking around, they got it all set Oh, he's a great idea. I got a couple employees.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, that their prior employees are thinking, as he headed away, he says, thank God and bullshit that they're gone.
Yeah.
And they get but the city started there for a long time. They started hiring college graduates for grub jobs, and these guys didn't, and gals, they really didn't want to get dirty or work up a sweat. Had one guy grumbling about it, and I says, you take a job as a janitor, you're expected to sweep the floor.
Well, but yet that's an issue that needs on the table, big time, because when they make this point about the fact that we got kids that are on the street with their families, mothers and fathers,
Yeah.
and that their homelessness. Okay,
Yeah.
You think they would prioritize this list from the standpoint, make sure you get them at the front of the list.
Yeah.
Got me to a certain degree, and then come up with some kind of a program that says get dad back to work, or maybe mom has to stay home to take care of the kids, depending upon what age factor it's all about, and participate more in the schoolings and this, that, and the other, and then pops get them a job, and maybe have the union folks sitting around the table. The non-union folks, man, who are contractors, bricklayers, whatever, and try to see whether or not this guy can maybe go through the apprenticeship program and work on the job, so he can pay his bills.
Yeah.
And then, as a taxpayer, let's say myself, and I'm still taking that, but I'm working for my situation. Now I can feel it. I can feel much better. If I'm not having to pay his piece at the same time.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm paying the whole tab.
Yep.
And I'm losing my home.
Yeah.
And and being homeless.
Yeah.
That's out there on the street. They had some folks the other night that were basically saying the same thing. They were sitting there.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce, I used to have a home. I don't have them anymore.
And a lot of those people, the homes are paid for, and all of a sudden taxes are getting so high.
Oh yes, because of all these programs.
Yeah.
See, and I'm not for anti-program as long as it doesn't not get totally out of my pocket. At least I can stay at my home.
No.
And somebody audit me to figure out, well, okay, fine. Well, look, we're going to tax you X number of dollars, and they never ask the question, well, what impact will this have on the bills that you're paying?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good question to anybody.
Before all this started, the fact is that when I was a city, and the deal is that the reputation was from the grapevine, if you were on homeless and all that, the place to go on the West Coast was Portland.
Yep.
The place to go on the Eastern Seaboard was Baltimore. And I think in the 80s or something, they figured out the more they did, the more they should do, but then they didn't have any money left over to pay to support the people paying the freight, so they shut the thing down.
Right.
Which was easy. 1st of July, it wasn't there, and they're out. Well, come October, what are we going to do? Well, you go to Salvation Army or Goodwill. Go to the churches.
And then the other thing is that, like you said, they get shifted out of an area where they've already got family and they've got acquaintances where they know and they feel comfortable. You know what I mean? They're in a community, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if they're being pushed out of the community to go elsewhere, then what do they do here? They already got a long line here, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so Dad's not working anywhere. So what is he going to do? He got to feed his family.
Yeah.
Maybe I can sell some drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe I can rob some houses.
Yeah.
In fact, maybe I can just basically say, okay, call up the law enforcement, pick me up. At least I'm gonna get 3 meals. Make sure you take care of my kids too. I mean, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the name of the game is that, regardless of how embarrassing, put it on the table for discussions.
Yeah.
And we need people elected to office that have had that exposure.
Yeah.
And then that's why we're having the conversation we're having now, to show you why we're having a problem with this 3-minute piece. This 3-minute piece. You got this 3-minute piece. There's nowhere in the world you're going to be able to decipher what I just shared with you in 3 minutes.
Well, you brought it up a lot of times before, that they stopped putting voc ed in the schools.
Yep.
And so, they put the pressure on, the schools put in, the colleges, for everybody had to, the families and the businesses and governments, you had to have college. And so they cut back on voc ed, and so now you need somebody that can do the work. And the thing is, not only not know how to use a hammer, they don't know what a hammer is.
Yeah. And then again, you throw this on the table because there was another person that was sitting up in there that was he actually was a union worker. He said, and Ron Bain, he came up with the idea, so to speak, and I thought it was great. And we spent a little bit more time, and it fit.
Yeah.
Meaning that he was saying, well, the voc ed piece. Why don't you bring those folks, those professionals, and put them in school and put a grade on it?
I have a friend of mine that's a lawyer, and he says he's about a little younger than me, and he's had the voc ed in school. He says it helps him around the house.
Yes.
Hiring a plumber or a carpenter or electrician. He says I could do some of it.
Right, but it's a trade.
Oh yeah,
and it was good.
And it hangs with you for life.
That's right, and it was a blue collar job.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of blue collar job folks making more that have got a degree. It's not just a degree; it's an education.
Yeah.
It's an education. You got options in education.
Yeah.
And this country was good for that.
Yeah.
They had all kinds of opportunities, if you will. That's why the country is so great. So it's beautiful. But we're losing that greatness, and we got to get back to the old school aspect of it, working for a living.
It seemed like as I understand it, the schools are actually teaching the young ones to hate this country.
Yeah. That's the other side of the coin. Well, we don't have a draft anymore because as a draft, we were both in the draft aspect of it, volunteered, so to speak, and you had options there. You can either do a state militia piece, or you can do the regular army military. But the bottom line, we had some options to keep you on track.
Yeah.
Keep you on track of working for a living.
Well, I knew a guy right after high school, and he said, I didn't like military. And I run into him about 10 years later. Anyway, he got drafted, and he did his active time, and then he was in the National Guard, and he was so struck. Couldn't think it was the same guy.
Well, that's what this country was about. You know what I mean? You could reach that big apple. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I asked him. I says, "Does the quarter still bounce off your bunk?"
I heard that.
He says, "Not quite."
Well, again, this is why we've been having this discussion. I'm just to show you as an example that the many times that I had some exposure. So consequently, I wasn't as frustrated going up there with the 3 minutes because I had a plan.
Yeah.
I was able to make a statement, and exactly what it was, and I just wanted to make that statement to these individuals that were sitting up in the front I was on the diocese, they weren't. They were sitting up at the front of the line. And so just to show you the frustration that others would have had, and they really have something seriously to say, maybe even a solution.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are not motivated to come and sit down there and spend the 3 minutes because they say, look, Bruce, they don't give me enough time to say what's the hell on my mind. And they're there. That's their job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that's their job, and well, again, we've lost sight from the standpoint of who's working for who.
Yeah.
The employers.
Yeah.
The employers are the taxpayers.
Yeah.
The employees are the folks who are elected to office.
Yeah.
And sometimes they would get embarrassed. Well, I'd better be there. I'm educated. You're not educated. You don't have any. Yeah, but okay. Well, uncle, those who are not educated don't pay taxes.
Yeah, well, actually, the schematic of a government agency is not complete unless they have up above the chief chief operating officer is the electorate.
Yeah.
And need to have that standing out there.
Yeah.
And this is, I registered to vote 3 days after my 21st birthday, and I voted in every election.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people that, especially young people, I says, and the lower the turnout, the more power your vote has.
Yep. Well, okay, you've got it now. Look at this. I think this is over 3 minutes now, don't you?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? But the fact I guess my point is that stay involved, and we're going to continue to do this throughout the election. Okay,
Correct.
John, thank you for being here and being a part of running for office and myself, and appreciate that. And we're going to continue talking about this issue the way we are. And we invite any candidate running for city council or Multnomah County, give us a call. I'm at 503-701-0457. Give me a call, set up the schedule. John, what's your number real quick like?
503-230-0863.
That's John Sweeney. Give him a call. We'll schedule you to come on the show, and we'll give you the opportunity to articulate what is your platform for running for office. You have a good one. We'll see you next week. Take care.
Yeah, I think the deal is that the county should take over the homeless and all that. For the Resolution A in 81, the deal is the cities got out of it, and then expanded all the cities. Portland went from a 10 mile by 10 mile square to a 10 mile by 15 mile rectangle. And
keep going, keep talking.
So the cities and the counties,
just keep talking.
Yeah, cities and counties the cities and the state would help the counties do better, and that would really do better for everyone to have that continue.
We're done with the hour.
Because the taxes need to be spent properly and to the best advantage possible. It's just really tough stuff to keep things going as we're going through all this stuff. And this really want to have people get their money's worth.